maybe listen to him speak. No matter what, just let it go.
Pop, persuadable. What's going on, boo-boos? All right, here's a dad joke. What is an acrobat's favorite seasoning? Somersault. I Googled that. All right, so I hope that y'all having a good day. Today we are going to talk about ACROBAT. Now, if you know nothing about ACROBAT or you need to be familiarized with ACROBAT, I am absolutely going to do all of it for you. You can come into this video not fucking knowing anything about ACROBAT. I got your back, boo-boo. All right? It's kind of like the... Never mind. I was going to make a virginity joke. Don't worry. You'll get it with practice. So anyways, my point is that I'm going to make this easy for you. I'm going to make you the pro so you understand everything about him. So ACROBAT is going to receive a nerf, and we have a table in the corner. I made it myself, and we're going to describe how his balls work. It's terrible. So let's get to it. If you don't know anything about ACROBAT, here we go. ACROBAT starts off with 3 bombs in the beginning of the match: a sticky bomb, a nitro bomb, and a fire bomb. Each bomb does something differently, and you can acquire an additional bomb of each type if you meet a certain parameter. So for instance, the sticky bomb reduces movement speed of the hunter, and you can acquire another one if you rescue a teammate. The nitro bomb will reduce the interaction speed of the hunter, so think of him taking down a pallet or her, or climbing a window. It's all reduced if they're within the nitro bomb's circular zone. And you can receive another one if you reach 150% decoding. And the fire bomb, you disable abilities of the hunters, so like a sculptor can't use their statue. And you can acquire another one if you're pursued by the hunter for 60 seconds. And of course, that does not include if Tide Turner is activated. All right, similar to Seer. And that's for 8 to 12 seconds currently. All right, so ACROBAT is a pretty versatile character. He's significantly used more in China and Southeast Asia than what you see in Northern America and Europe. So a lot of the folks on our server are quite surprised by this adjustment because Mike, or also known as ACROBAT, isn't really used heavily over here, but in other servers he has definitely been used much more. We see him significantly more in tournaments. We see ban rates of ACROBAT significantly higher. We see win rates significantly higher according to the devs on rank mode and other servers that I just mentioned previously, okay? So that's why for NAEU, we're looking at this as what the fuck is the point of nerfing him? I'm not suggesting that their argument is valid, just really more so articulating the reasoning, all right? So the nerfed values in red pretty much indicates how each one is going to be reduced. So he's still going to have 1 ball each. He still can acquire each ball. However, the value of the effect on the hunter is what's significantly reduced in all 3 categories. So I'm not going to go over each one because it's pretty self-explanatory if you look at the values and how they're being reduced. And we don't want to make this video monotonous with me just reading directly, right? If you ever do a PowerPoint presentation, don't just read exactly what's written up there. They're fucking super boring. Like, that's like a side note. You're welcome. Free coaching from Persuade and career opportunities. Don't read directly from the PowerPoint. So fucking boring. Oh, what miserable presentations. All right, I digress. Let's get back onto this, okay? So, now, the first discussion is whether we think ACROBAT needs the nerf. And I think that the answer is because there's a lot of hunters who are non-meta. I do think that his kit provides him a lot of flexibility that other survivors do not have. He's pretty much rewarded no matter what he does. Other characters are not rewarded. For instance, a magician. If you play magician and you're a kite and build magician, you really don't have any harassing ability whatsoever, right? But you know that when you play magician. Lawyer can decode really fast if he's unannounced, but remember, he doesn't really have any kiting kit, so he's more of a decoder. You have Mercenary, who's an absolutely great rescuer, but has a decoding debuff. So there's always a consequence with a lot of characters. And that's the direction that the game really needs to go into. But ACROBAT kind of is good and is rewarded in all 3 categories. If you rescue somebody, you're rewarded. If you only decode, you're rewarded. If you are kiting and you're kiting well, you are rewarded. You get an additional firebomb. So even though he's not used a lot on our server, you look at his kit, and it is supposed to be used for more highly skilled players. If you know the map, if you know the hunter kiting routes, he's very deadly in high tiers. A lot of hunters will say he's not that big of a problem, but we don't really have enough sample size on our server to really demonstrate that. A good acrobat, especially against non-meta hunters, can be extremely, extremely dangerous, and that should absolutely not be undervalued. You know, and that's something that's really important, is that when the the devs from China, when they're trying to incorporate balance in the game, they're not looking at NAEU server as the beacon of numbers. They're looking at where the majority of their players are, which is in China, Japan, and Southeast Asia. I don't really know too much about the Korean market, but last that I knew, South Korea was the 4th largest mobile gaming market in the world, so I would assume they have a big player base in South Korea. But I digress from that point as well. My point is that Acrobat is very deadly in the right hand of a skilled player against non-meta hunters. And even meta hunters, he's much more dangerous now. This is why we're seeing more bans. This is why you're seeing significant increased usage in competitive gameplay. Okay? But the question is whether this nerf is too much. I will make the argument that I do think that Acrobat needs a nerf. I genuinely think that. Even though he is somebody that requires a lot of skill, traditionally, a lot of skilled survivors and hunters have been nerfed repeatedly. The argument that a character shouldn't be nerfed because they're complicated to master just doesn't have any historical background. Mad Eyes has been nerfed God knows how many times. Dreamwitch has been nerfed a few times. Forward has been nerfed. I mean, there's a lot of characters that require a lot of skill, and just because the skill barrier is there doesn't mean that there isn't a threshold of significant overpowered components of that character when you meet said threshold. And that's important. Say if 95% of Mad Eye players aren't good, well, the other 5%, if they're overpowered when they master the character, it doesn't mean that there isn't something that the devs should consider if the win rate is significantly higher. That's what they do. They look at the win rates of all of these characters and they try to compare and contrast. My issue with Acrobat is that even though he requires a lot of skill, again, he's significantly rewarded no matter what he does. It's to a degree kind of a broken kit. But I shouldn't say broken, because it's not broken. I would say it's slightly overpowered, because no matter what, you're being rewarded. And that's why a lot of Acrobat players like to play Acrobat. Acrobat is a fun fucking character. I hate when I play Magician and I just have to decode there the entire game. I have no versatility whatsoever unless I play Rescue, right? Acrobat has the ability to play and get rewarded no matter what happens in the match. It makes it interesting. But is this too much of a nerf? You can make the argument that Acrobat needs a little bit of a nerf, but disagree with how they went about it. Because there's also another nerf, and that is that the bomb circular zone, the duration is getting decreased. The duration zone is getting decreased from 15 seconds to 10 seconds. Pretty much when you put a bomb on the ground, it's not going to last there for 15 seconds anymore. It's only going to last there for 10. Now, I don't really think that is the biggest deal in the world. I'm not against this one. And the reason being so is that when you watch a lot of high-tier footage of acrobats, especially if they're using their balls correctly, such as the Nitro bomb before a window, or a sticky bomb before a window, or disabling abilities in the wide open against a character like Sculptor, most of the time they're using these bombs to transition, or they're using these bombs to avoid a hit and to secure a rescue, which you're seeing in this gameplay footage here. So I'm really not too worried about the bomb circular zone. That's really a non-issue. A lot of high-tier acrobats, especially in China, Southeast Asia, they're using their balls to transition correctly and to use the environment in their advantage. And they're using these balls differently depending on which hunter they're going against. You know, Acrobat is a great transitioner, especially with Bloody Queen. She uses her mirror. You can use a ball right away to get the fuck away from that mirror. Early game, force Bloody Queen to immediately spawn on her mirror. You just now are going to snowball the match if you continue kiting relatively well. So he has good transitioning skills. He has decent tight kiting skills. He has the ability to maneuver around the environment. He's a great kiter when used correctly. Sure, it took a long time for acrobats to really master him. The old consensus was, oh, you can only really use him on moonlit because of the tricks, but that's just not the case. And so, same thing with Dreamwitch. Dreamwitch took months and months for people to master. It was like 6 months later when she started appearing deadly. So, and then on top of that, you still have how he is kiting against Dreamwitch, the ability to transition away. So I do think that the Fireball nerf, I'm not sure how I feel about that one, because I'm going to break each ball down individually. The Fireball nerf, that's his ability to really silence hunters for a significant amount of time. We see it happen quite a bit against Sculptor in wide open areas such as Ever Sleeping Town. So to reduce that down to 5 seconds makes the kit kind of difficult to use, but maybe that's the issue. His transitional kiting has been very strong when he can kite out in the wide open against a Sculptor and Ever Sleeping Town. When you look at the Nitro Bomb and the Sticky Bomb, when you're looking at the movement speed decrease of the hunter and the interaction speed of the hunter, all right, for non-meta hunters or pretty much the static hunters that don't have a lot of anti-tight kiting or anti-transitional kiting skills, think of your photographers, Acrobat is really dangerous against them. And really, once you get used to the map, just throwing, one ball down in a narrow area, I mean, it takes map awareness, but it's not like you're pulling a, 360 juke, circular fucking, forward stun that requires, master manipulation. It's just more so of experience and navigation. Not that it should take away from the skill of Acrobat. So, to me, I think that the nerf is justified, and for the most part, you're using it to transition away. Does this mean that he's going to be broken? As in, like, not broken, overpowered, but significantly hindered? I really don't know. We don't know until we practice it. But there's a reason why we're seeing his upkeep, and we're seeing an increase in his usage, an increase in his win rate. So what do you think? Do you think that the nerf is warranted? If you think the nerf is warranted, do you think this is too much? Do you think this is too little? Those are separate questions. And it's important not to dichotomize it as you're either in favor or not.